Brought up as a Villa fan, captain his Boyhood club, played for England. I'm invincible, no one can stop me doing anything.
Agbonlahor scores again at Old Trafford.
Favourite moment for your career, what comes to mind?
England debut.
You were suspended by Villa that year for smoking laughing gas and a shisha pipe.
I would party when I was angry, I'd party when I was happy. That was my escape. Go and take your mind off it, drink. And I woke up the next morning and I'm like, phone call off the club. I'm like, oh. It was a dark year. I was in the paper, the front page of the Sun. That feeling you can't describe. So I was partying all the time, 2 days a week. Vegas holidays where you're spending 80,000 and you're going to Miami. After a game, it was like, okay, where's the party at?
You think that partying impacted your career negatively at all?
Oh, 100%. And I feel like I could have played longer. My body was just like, it was finished. I think it had Jaeger bombs leaking out of it from 10 years ago. If I want to keep that footballer lifestyle, I'm going to be bankrupt.
Aston Villa legend Gabby Agbonlahor reveals all on crazy boozy parties, Premier League legacy, and 100 grand holidays. This episode is sponsored by NordVPN. More about them later, but you can grab a discount in the link in the video description below. So one club players like yourself are a pretty rare commodity. Why did you stay at Villa for your whole playing career?
I think the big reason for me was, especially early on in my career, we were fighting for Champions League positions. We finished in 6th place 3 seasons in a row. Martin O'Neill was a manager that I loved playing under. Felt at home, my club, Aston Villa fan. So sort of never really left the city either. Obviously holidays as a young kid with family and stuff, but I feel like the fear of like leaving home, the only time I left home was on a night out when I was playing, but to go and live in another city, another country was something that I never thought myself of doing, and just leaving Aston Villa just didn't seem like something that was right to do.
You must have had offers though.
Yeah, there was offers, yeah. There were basically how it worked back then, it was like you'd have like an agent of a manager speak to your agent, and they'd always want to make sure that you wanted to come and would agree a deal before they put a offer in. So there's no point, for instance, a team putting an offer in for Mo Salah if you don't want to go.
Yeah. Because
it's just embarrassing of putting an offer in. So it's always sorted before the offer goes in, sort of thing. Then the club's just got to agree the fee. There was interest from Arsenal and Spurs. They were the main two during the 2008 to 2010 seasons.
And you weren't tempted? It was an easy no?
You know what? Arsenal I've always been fond of as a kid because of Thierry Henry. So that was a club where I was like, oh. But then obviously when I thought about it, leaving Villa wasn't an option. But Spurs one was never an option because at that time, if I'm correct, they had the most strikers in the league.
Really?
I'm sure they had Defoe, Keane, Pavlyuchenko, Berbatov, Ben. They might not have all been there at that time, but at least 3 to 4 of them strikers were there at that time. So I'm thinking to myself, Peter Crouch was there, I think, as well. They had so much talent, and I was getting into England squads. Yeah. I was playing week in, week out at Aston Villa. Villa and Spurs were fighting for top 4 together. So it was like I was moving sideways as well. Okay. Didn't want to leave because I was Villa through and through, but I didn't see that as a step up at that time.
Whereas, I mean, you could argue it wouldn't be now either, exactly. But it may well have been, in the last however long.
Yes.
Did that change? Obviously, you were with Villa when they were relegated. Yeah. Was there interest then, and was the equation a bit different?
Yeah. So the year before, I think was it the year before we got relegated? No, not the year before. So the year we got relegated. Just trying to think of the dates. West Brom. I think West Brom was still in the Premier League. I'll have to check that. And Tony Pulis was manager, and he wanted me to go to West Brom. But that's like a local rival. Do you know what I mean? And I previously scored winners against them and celebrated in front of their fans. So that was one that, my agent spoke to Tony Pulis, his guys, and it was something that was never going to happen. I wasn't going to go to West Brom. And part of me felt that, like, I was part of the squad that got us relegated. I was part of that team. It was wanting to do well for the club and try and get them straight back up, because it was such bad times for the club getting relegated.
Looking back now then, do you feel that was the right decision to stay at Aston Villa?
I think when I look back now, I look at if I'd left, would I have won trophies? Would I have done this? But at the end of the day, I'm a lad who was brought up as a Villa fan. You know, watched them as a kid, went through the academy at 12, played for his boyhood club, captained his boyhood club, played for England because of playing well for his boyhood club. So there's no sort of regrets. You know, I can look back and think to myself, did I play to 36, 37, 38 and play for 7 or 8 more teams because I just wanted to chase money or wanted to play for anyone? No. Do you know what I mean? For me, it was that when my time was up at Aston Villa, it was like, I've done everything I could dream of playing as a professional footballer. Yes, I wanted to win trophies. Yes, I wanted to maybe play more for England. But if someone had told me when I was 12, I would have played over 350 Premier League games. I would have played for my country. I wouldn't have believed them. You know, I always thought I had a chance to make it as a footballer, but not to what I actually went and did.
Yeah, and you mentioned around that, you've got some interesting records. I think you hold the fastest record for the perfect hat-trick, don't you? Is that still yours?
I don't know it's mine overall. Because I think, was it Robbie Fowler? I might be like top 3 or top 4 for the quickest hat-trick. But what was funny about that game was like, I was having a stinker.
Right, okay.
I remember playing in it and like, Man City weren't great then. But I was playing against Micah Richards, my good friend.
Yeah.
And he was like quick as me, stronger than me. I just remember like he was just marking me out of the game. And sometimes in football, that's how it works. You can be having a poor game and go score a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you can have an amazing game and not score. So that was like that game. It was like everything was falling to me. My first 2 goals fell to me nicely. The third one, they played a high line, so I got in behind from the halfway line and scored. But it wasn't my best performance. But to get a hat-trick, I think it was the first game of the season, you know, in that quick, perfect hat-trick as well, left, right, and a header. Unbelievable.
I'm just going to pause for a second because I'm very proud to announce that this show has its first sponsor, and it's a good one. It's NordVPN. As the owner of a marketing agency that operates online, it's really important for me and my team to stay protected with whatever we're doing online. And that's why NordVPN is essential to the operation of my business. Now, if you're a massive football fan like me, you can't watch every game because of the ridiculous 3 p.m. blackout, but you can if you use NordVPN. You can change your virtual location to another country where that game is actually being played. You can also watch games when you're abroad. NordVPN is also the fastest VPN, so no buffering, lagging, slowing your internet down. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/Ben Heath. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the description below. Go ahead and check it out. You mentioned when you were 12, if you'd have been told at that time you'd go on to have all these appearances, you'd have thought that was crazy. Do you remember a moment when you were growing up when you thought, you know what, I'm going to be good enough to be a pro here. I think I can make it.
I'd probably say when I was 15, 16, I started to see that like I was better than everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, we were playing in the academy and I was scoring 2 a game, 3 a game, 2 a game. I was just so quick that like everything else didn't matter. I was just running. I had Craig Gardner in the academy. He was so good technically, putting me in behind. It was like having a pinpoint accuracy midfielder playing a perfect ball for a quick strike over the top. All my goals were the same, and defenders couldn't handle the pace back then. And I started to think maybe 15 and 16, I got a good chance here because back then it was year-to-year contracts in the academy.
Okay.
So I had to earn your year contract and there was never a worry for me to get another one. Do you know what I mean? There were teams that were interested in me during the academy. I remember Birmingham City wanted me when I was in the academy. That wasn't an option at all. But yeah, I started to have a feeling about 16 and then 17, 18 when I was in the academy under 18s and I was playing in the reserves, they called it back then, the under 23s. And I was scoring for the reserves at like 17, 18. So I sort of thought I'd had a chance. But even then, had a chance to make it professionally. Not Premier League or not the Championship. It could have been League 1, League 2. It was just I had a feeling, this is a career I could see myself having.
Because that must be such an important age where people do go down different paths. I imagine there are people in a similar situation at you that as you say, ended up League One, League Two, maybe not even a professional at all. That's got to be exciting time, but also kind of nerve-wracking, thinking 100%. I so want this to go ahead.
There were players that were there from 6 years old, and then at 16 you get told if you're getting a scholarship.
Right.
So it's like it's go time or goodbye time.
Yeah.
And I remember like some of the lads coming out of the academy director's office in tears with their family. Yeah. They'd been there for 10 years, and it's like goodbye. That's all they've known. At school, all they've said to their friends, I play for Villa, I play for Villa, I play for Villa. They're 16 to be like, no, you're not good enough. And then some of them players didn't even carry on playing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They just probably stopped and went down to semi-pro maybe. But it's either jubilation for me, for instance, for getting that 2-year scholarship. And then some players that didn't get it, it's like, as a parent now, if that was my son, how do you console them? Do you know what I mean? It's so difficult. And I think there's something in place now where they help you find another club. I think clubs do that now. But back then it was like, see you later. You know what I mean?
And that's so tough because it's not just a job you've missed out on. It's your dream, and it's so life-changing because if you don't go ahead and be a pro, your earning potential.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's the embarrassment as well of like, you know what we like as men and young men at 16, it's like all your friends know you play for Villa. Then for them to find out, oh, you don't play for them no more, it's that embarrassment of like, I got let go. You know what people can be like in this world? Like people are cruel. They don't want you to do well. I remember at school, people were like, "Oh, no one makes it as a footballer." You know, friends at school didn't expect you to. PE teachers didn't think you'd make it. Do you know what I mean? No one really like back then. It might be different now, but no one really like wants you to. You know, you're sort of against the odds.
Well, they feel like it reflects badly on them if their people around them are doing these amazing things, and so people get insecure, and then
exactly. So it's hard, but the opposite of that, if you do get that scholarship, it's so exciting because you're not there yet, but you're in full time. You know, you go from 1 day a week training to now you're in every day. You're seeing the first team players, the superstars walking past. You're seeing the flashy cars. You're seeing their lovely back then. If issue jeans, do you know what I mean? The fashionable stuff, and you're like, oh, my scholarship might only be £80 a week, but that's the goal. That's the goal.
So that's what you're being paid at that time, £80 a week.
£80 a week. Yeah, was the that was a scholarship, and we had a minibus that picked us up from sort of town centre, and took us to training, and then once we'd finished at about 3:30, brought us back to that spot. Then you got your own bus or train home to your house. So thinking back then, I don't know what it is now, it might be double because of the inflation and time now, but you're still looking at that and you're like, the day you get paid, you spent it on a tracksuit and a pair of trainers. Okay. Do you know what I mean? A pair of Nikes and a tracksuit. You'd spent your monthly wage already. So you was looking at the first team lads and be like, oh, imagine just earning what they earn, like get whatever they want. They can get 2 pairs of trainers a month. So that wasn't just the dream. The dream as well was like when you go to games and you're a ball boy and you're on duty where you had to pump the balls up and collect them from the first team players. You know, looking at the stadium, the fans, and thinking one day, hopefully that could be you.
Favourite moment for your career? What comes to mind?
Favourite moment, I would say England debut. I've had a lot of favourite moments with Aston Villa, but I feel that there's so many top players that didn't play for England. And they're other countries, France, Germany, Portugal, or whatever, but there's been big players that haven't played for England. And that's one of them things that like your grandkids, your great-grandkids will look and say, in 100 years, my dad played, my great-granddad played for England. Do you know, like, it's one of them things that you'll pass your caps that you've got at home down to your kids, and they can show their kids, my dad played for England. Yes, your dad played as a professional footballer for Aston Villa, but so many people do that. But to go and play for your country, to know that one stage you were in the best 11 available for your country is something that no one can take away from you.
It's a recognition that you are the elite of the elite.
Exactly, yeah. It's a lot of players finish their career and say, we still won trophies. But I think I'd rather play for England than win trophies. Because, yes, trophies are amazing, you won a trophy, but some of the players that won trophies and didn't play for their country look back and think they regret it. Oh, why didn't I get called up? I still got called up. You know, you'll speak to them and they'll be like, "Oh, we still play for my country." You know, just that hearing the national anthem and you're next to superstars. And the game I played in was Germany away. I think it was
Easy game.
Yeah, and it was like back then. It was still the rivalry.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is the enemy. We're playing Germany. Like, we can't lose this game. So you had them nerves. Dark stadium, no light in it. You know, just like you just felt you were in like you were against the odds.
Yeah.
So like that was exciting. But like I said, to play for your country is like the top.
You got 3 caps. Do you think you should have got more?
100%. The reason why I didn't get more, I felt at that time, that era I played in, you had so many good strikers. I mean, let's not even talk about Rooney. You know, Michael Owen to the last bit of his career. Heskey was a player that done very well for England. Capello really liked playing Emile, and he done fantastic. Crouchy. You also had Jermaine Defoe. You had Darren Bent, who was scoring goals. You had Carl Cole doing well. So you look at all them strikers. I'm probably missing a few out as well. So you look at them strikers, and sometimes you look and you think like, oh, didn't get on this week. Okay, didn't get on. Or you look back at it and you're like, he had so many stars to choose out of.
Right.
So it was quite difficult to get in then. Now you look at the England squad and yes, you got Watkins, Tony, Kane. But a year ago, you were probably like, oh, how many have we got?
Yeah.
So also as well, I didn't enjoy going away with England.
Okay.
Do you know? So if I look back and if I had an injury, say if I had a calf injury where maybe it wasn't super bad, but it was something that touch or go might affect you for the next Villa game.
Yep.
I would pull out of England squads because I think I was in up to like 13, 16 England squads.
Okay.
But I pulled out of quite a few because I was more thinking I'm not going to play because you had Rooney, you had Crouch, you had Heskey, you had Defoe, you had Ben, and I'm thinking, oh, am I quit? Similar to maybe Ben White.
I was going to ask about that.
I was a bit like, why am I staying here for 10 days at the Grove Hotel in Watford and I can be back at Villa getting treatment, getting ready for the game. We're fighting for Champions League as well. Manager was on board with it. He was like, he'd rather his players who've got little niggles because I was playing every game. It was like, you want to go away with England, play, train hard, and then you don't play in the 2 games, but you're injured for the next Villa game, which is really important. So sometimes I definitely chose club over country as well.
I'll get back to my conversation with Gabby in a second. Before I do, I've just got a very quick favour to ask, and that's to please click the subscribe button. Now, we want to have the biggest and best guests on possible and make this show and this community as good as it can possibly be. To do that, we need your help. We need subscribers. Now, currently about 96.5% of the people that watch the videos on this channel aren't subscribed. So please take a second, click that subscribe button. Let's get back to the show. Did you not like going away with England because you felt like you wouldn't play, or was there another reason?
Because of that as well, and because it was very cliquey, and some England players will deny it. The top ones, but the ones that were like maybe not the top ones in the middle, they would all. You've heard players come out and say it. It was very cliquey. Yeah, I remember walking in one day to the canteen at the Grove, and it was like the canteen was. Imagine one of them long tables that can fit 30 people on. Yeah. And it was all sectioned.
But is that by club as well?
By club.
Like the Man United players are together.
Lampard, Terry.
Yeah.
Wright Phillips, Bridge. You had Ferdinand, Rooney, sometimes Wes Brown, or you had, who else? Manchester, like Carrick. Then you had like Liverpool. You might have had like players that play for Liverpool with Gerrard and maybe Glenn Johnson. So like it was very like that half of the table is them. You sort of knew your place, you knew your role. Then it was like, in the middle you had like the Jagielkas, the Downings, the Mees, the Upsons. Right. Do you know what I mean? You know, like the players that you wouldn't say were top.
Yeah. And there's not 4 of you coming from one club.
No. And then you're there and you're like Beckham right in the middle of the table. Like you knew his seat. You sit there, you're a dead man walking. You know what I mean? That's Beckham's seat. Don't even dare try it. Do you know, like, so it was like very superstar.
Okay.
Beckham was. Then you had like Rooney, superstar, Ferdinand's, Terry's, Joe Cole's. They were all like a clique.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That wasn't their fault. That's all. That was just what it was like. They were just like comfortable with the players that they share a changing room with at their clubs. But what's good now is it's not like that. It's totally different. You can have a player come and get his first cap. I can imagine sit where you want.
Yeah.
You speak to whoever you want. So that put me off going as well. I didn't really enjoy it. I was like, you're going to go away for 10 days. You're going to be there. You're going to be very cliquey. You probably won't going to play because you had players that were playing at the top clubs back then. So that's why I could imagine the reason why there were 3 caps, not double figures.
It's I've heard that before. You said it was very cliquey that time. It seems somewhat surprising because I think most people look at that group of England players and think it's full of leaders.
Yeah.
But that's not good leadership to allow that dynamic to occur
100%
within the team.
You'd think like the leaders that were there would say, all right, lads, let's split this group up. Let's go speak to the players that we play against twice a season, but we don't know very well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So new players come into the squad. Okay, then let's. Why don't you go and sit next to Rooney and Carrick? But maybe the convos they wanted to have were not for our ears.
Do you think they're saying, "Oh, he's not good enough" and that sort of thing?
No, probably not that. I can imagine maybe they've got things they're talking about at their club and their personal life and what's going on. Do they want someone that's come from another club listening to what convos they're having? I don't know the reason. That could be the reason. I'm guessing a little bit, but it was just very cliquey, and I just don't see that happening now. You know, Southgate's got his flaws of fans, but I could imagine now if you walked in there in your first cap, you're walking in and you're like speaking to everyone. There's no set seat at the canteen. There's no set seat on the coach. Do you know what I mean? Like
there's no throne for Beckham.
Yeah, you're not sitting on the front seat next to the manager and the coach because all the superstars have got the seats at the back.
They take all the back row.
Yeah, you
like you're 14.
You got to be careful where you sit. But that I don't hold anything against them players because they're probably just used to it. It might have been like that before they joined. Do you know what I mean? They had to work their way, but it wasn't enjoyable going away.
I think I've heard people like Gary Neville before say that they were concerned about accidentally giving information to the Liverpool players or the Chelsea players that they could then use when they're back at their clubs and because of the rivalries.
Yeah, but you see now the rivalries, like they're picking each other up off the floor.
Yeah.
You got Liverpool, Man United players, I'll help you up, or Man City, Liverpool, help you up after I'll tackle you. It never used to be like that. It was quite like you could see Lampard and Gerrard weren't going to be sitting together and having a good catch up. Do you know what I mean? You had the rivalries back then. But it's all changed now.
So if that's one of your absolute highs of playing for England, going to part of your career that's probably more difficult, I wanted to ask about 2016, which probably wasn't your best year. You were suspended by Villa that year, and the reasons given was, I believe, for smoking laughing gas and a shisha pipe. Is that
not smoking laughing gas? Balloons. Balloons, inhaling balloons.
Smoking a shisha pipe and
You know what it was? During that season, it was like, honestly, for 3-4 seasons before, we were losing. But basically, all my Villa career, we lost our best players every season.
Okay.
We lost Gareth Barry first. It was Milner. It was Young. It was Benteke. It was Delph. And certain enough, we come to a stage where the owner, Randy Lerner, just went and brought loads of players from the French league. We had loads. And they've gone on to be amazing players. Jordan Veretout, Jordan Ayew, Idrissa Gueye. But at that time, it was like, boom, Premier League. Okay. So it didn't work that season. The French lads and English lads weren't clicking. You know, it was a bit separated. The French lads were speaking French. It was like in the change room. It was a bit of not a very good atmosphere at the club. And the manager, Remy Garde, not a good manager. He was very negative. And when you keep sending your best players, the inevitable happened to Sunderland, Southampton, saying all their best players. It comes to the stage where, you know, it never was going to happen. But that season was tough. Tim Sherwood was done a great job. I love Tim Sherwood. I feel like he should have got the chance to stay on. Then I went and brought Remy Garde and didn't work. And all that stress of like fighting relegation. I had some problems off the field as well with personal reasons, with like an ex-girlfriend. And that stress was like, when we were given time off, I went to Dubai. And should I went to Dubai when we were fighting a relegation battle? No, of course. But I went to Dubai, went partying, because some people deal with stressful things and disappointments a different way. Some people go and sit in their room and be angry. I would party when I was angry. I'd party when I was happy. So even when I was going through a bad time, to forget about it and take your mind off it, it was going to have a party. So I went to Dubai. I remember, I think it was Blue Marlin in Abu Dhabi, I think it is, like a beach club, and smoking a shisha pipe, which was like everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not a banned substance.
Yeah.
So because we're meant to be role models, which we did the sign up for, we have to be role models. I think at that time it was like, oh, you can't be smoking shisha. But there's nothing in your contract that says you can't smoke shisha. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think few players have been caught doing it afterwards as well. And then that was suspended. I think I got suspended for that and in trouble with that. Then the one afterwards was we'd been relegated, like it'd been official with the amount of points that we'd got. I wasn't really involved at that stage, you know. I wasn't getting in the team, not involved. And then just to get my mind off it, it was like I went to Mayfair Hotel and got the penthouse at the Mayfair Hotel and had a party with friends, people in there. Sort of like, was it the right thing to do when you look back? No, not at all, of course. But me being annoyed that the club had been relegated, that was my escape.
Yeah. It
was like party, take your mind off it, get drunk, drink tequila, inhale balloons. Balloons were very popular then. You know, players were doing them in every football club, in the nightclubs. You'd be hiding in the corner, inhaling a balloon. It was sort of the trend for everyone back then. When you look back now, I'm like, people have died with like brain issues off them balloons because you're inhaling and it's stopping the oxygen going to your brain. Oh, okay. So very dangerous. But at that time, you're a bit sheepish. You're doing what others are doing. I remember I actually got caught because my friend posted a picture of me and me trying to take my friend's belt off with a balloon in my mouth.
Right, okay.
And he posted that on his private Instagram with 200 followers. So someone screenshot it, sent it to the papers, sold it to them. And I woke up the next morning and I'm like, phone call off the club. I'm like, oh, how? No one's taking pictures, no one's videoing. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. So you like, you know what I mean? It's not that you don't care. It's just that, like, that moment, it's like, that was my escape. That summer, it was good to get away, go and take your mind off it, drink. So it was a horrible year. But after that summer finished, I was like, when I come back pre-season, before pre-season, I was doing a lot of work in the summer to get fit. And coming back pre-season under Beto Di Matteo, I wanted to, you know, help the club get promoted again.
Were you surprised that you got suspended? And how long were you actually suspended for? Because it seems quite harsh given what you described. I can't remember
the amount of time I was suspended for, but I remember when I went in with my agent and Brian Little was amazing. He worked at the club then. And secretary, Sharon, club secretary. It was a bit like, they were like, we've got to follow the protocol, but everyone's looking at each other like, I've not done nothing super bad. Like, shisha pipe. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's very tame.
Yeah, it's very tame. Like, I could have done it in my house. And then the balloons, it's like, balloons were banned substance at the time. Like, you couldn't... Okay. Was that... I don't even know if there was actually, but I could understand the balloons one because, you know, they see it as us as role models, other people copying you and doing that. But I still didn't think there were offences to be suspended for. Yeah. You know, I think it was more maybe the club looked at it as, because the papers have got hold of it, it was like, make a little punishment. But yeah, it was a dark year, and definitely one that when you look back, regrets, of course. But you know, people don't understand as well. Off the field, there were situations that were affecting me, stressing me out, and that's what people don't realise about footballers is that people are going through stuff. You look at Dele Alli recently coming out. You know, you don't know what players are going through just because you're getting paid thousands a week, and you know, fans feel that, oh, it don't matter about your problems. You know, you're earning this money, you've got to perform. So there were different reasons why.
You mentioned during that time going through some personal difficulties. Are you able to share what those were? So during that time, I was having problems with my ex-girlfriend.
It was like really off the field problems where I remember Tim Sherwood saying to me, like, because I was in the paper, the front page of the Sun.
Yeah.
And I think it was 3 days in a row. Okay. And I remember everyone was messaging me saying, I'm on the way to the trains, you're on the front page of the paper. And I'm like, me? Gabby from Erdington, Birmingham, on the front page of the paper because my ex-girlfriend had found out that I was having a baby with another girl. Do you know what I mean? That was the reason I was on the front page. And I'm
that
just
was
like,
what did it? Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? So like that was stressed out. There's nothing worse when you get that phone call off the club press officer at 11 p.m. on the night before the story's coming out. Is it? Yeah, you're like, oh. And he's like, it's going to be online in a couple of hours and it's coming out in the papers in the morning. And like that feeling you can't describe if you ask other players when it's a negative story. And it wasn't something that I'd be in trouble for with the club, but it was stress off the field, you know, like having a kid with someone and you're not with them and you've got a girlfriend. It was like that stress, and then you're coming to training and the lads are laughing about it.
Right.
Do you know what the football changes like? They're like, Gabby, like, again, whoa, you don't mess around. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? My private life has to be in there. And like, I remember Tim Sherwood was saying, like, you okay? So that carried on through that year. Wow. Do you know what I mean? So people might not realise that. They might say, that's nothing to go off the rails, but it was stressing me out. It was like front page of the paper. It's embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? You want to be on the back pages. You don't want to be on the front pages. I think it was 3 days in a row, and I was like, out of all the news in the world and all the people, they're bothered about me. So like that definitely had me down for a few years, definitely.
And during that time, you gave up being captain.
Yeah.
Was that completely voluntary? Did the club sort of push you to make that decision? How did that happen?
It was voluntary, but I could see that like maybe if I didn't, they would have done it anyway. Okay. You know, it was the right thing to do. You know, my behaviour, going out partying and the shisha, obviously, I didn't see a problem with the shisha, but the balloons, I could see why.
Bit different.
Yeah, I could see why they wanted that, and I felt it was the right thing to do. And at that time, I was club captain, not captain on the pitch.
Yeah.
So sort of club captain was one that like you sort different things around the club. But what's crazy about that time is like everything I was doing then, I've been doing since I moved out of my dad's house.
Yeah.
I've been a party boy since I was 18. Do you know what I mean? Once I could move out of my dad's house, because he was so strict, I sort of went the opposite way.
Yeah, okay.
So he was a strict Nigerian man, strict parent, could only watch TV now and then. PlayStations got confiscated. It was education or football. So once I became pro and I could move out, it was like, okay, where's the party at? So I've been partying.
You had money as well.
Yeah, so I was partying all the time, 2 days a week from 19 to like 24. Then you calm down to 1 day a week. Summers were crazy. Vegas twice in the summer. Miami. So like, because social media started coming out, that was where you were getting caught. Camera phones were getting better. So my early years, I got away with it, but then it caught up with me in my later years, 2015, 16, because better cameras, getting pictures of you. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at the picture of me smoking shisha. I'm thinking like, it's come from behind me.
Right.
Someone's on the table behind me. I've got a hat on as well, sunglasses. Think I'm disguised.
Yeah.
And they've got the picture. I'm like, what? And it was funny because that same story of the Dubai trip, there was a picture, a video of me and Fraser Campbell dancing.
Okay.
So me and Fraser Campbell were actually in the club having a right dance off. You know, having the time of your life. Yeah. I remember the pictures like me with a bottle of Patron and my hat on backwards with a shirt. And I'm thinking like, where I was standing, that picture's will only be able to come from like the tables that were up at the top. That someone zoomed in,
right, okay,
and took a picture and thought, we sent it to the papers. That's the life you live as a footballer. I'm thinking I'm in Dubai. I mean, no one cares about me in Dubai. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not in Birmingham city centre. But when I look back, regrets of course, but I feel like if you turn the career around, and I've done that stuff at the start, and I finished off with the 4 or 5 years I started with, it'd be a different story. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that partying impacted your career negatively at all?
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. You know, I look now and I'm like, you've got Ashley Young, older than me, still playing in the Premier League. You've got James Milner, still playing in the Premier League. So I do look back at that and I feel like I could have played longer, but I was what I was. I do use that saying, and I say to my girlfriend a lot, I am what I am when we argue. So
it's a good line, that.
Do you know what I mean? I say I am what I am. I was sort of so strict upbringing of like, you know, we could watch football, we could watch Match of the Day, we could watch Italian football on a Sunday, we could watch the odd film now and then. But every time my brother went and bought a PlayStation, my dad caught us. He took it off us and sold it. So it was a very strict upbringing. Couldn't go out with any friends from the area. Only go to the park and play as three brothers. So that's why I don't do that with my kids. I'm very relaxed because I went the opposite way. I could move out, so my dad couldn't tell me what to do. I moved out at 18. So then I was living on my own. I'm thinking, like, I can party. I can go away in the summer. I was partying Tuesday nights in London with a Wednesday off. I was partying Saturdays with Sunday off. If we had Thursday off, I was partying Wednesday nights in London. Do you know what I mean? I was out there on the West End in London having the time of my life in my early 20s. Yeah. But you could get away with it then because you're young. You could be hungover on a Sunday, train Monday, be fine. But it catches you up the older you get. But when you're in that moment, you're the main man in the city, you're the main player, one of them, you're earning this great money, you're getting called up for England. You don't think. Your dad can't tell you anything. Do you know what I mean? You're sort of like, you're invincible, aren't you? So I look back and it definitely affected me because that drinking definitely takes years off you.
Do you have any anger towards your dad still for being that strict, which maybe made you go the other way?
No, I don't have anger because if he wasn't that strict, I definitely would have made it as a footballer.
Okay.
So like, I remember playing in the academy and whenever I didn't score, I sat in the back of the car.
Right.
Because I knew I was getting it.
Right.
I was scared. So I was in the back seat like, I'm scared. I'm getting it here because I didn't perform. It would embarrass me on the sidelines in under 18 games and scream, you are doing nothing. You are wasting everyone's time. You are do you know, like proper on ya. And I'm like, oh. But that force that he had was because he knew I had something.
Yeah.
He said when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, during sports day, I'd run, stop, look behind me, and everyone's nowhere near me, and then run again. I was that quick. So, like, he wanted me to make it. So, him being that strict stopped me from kids at 12, 13 were hanging around in local parks, smoking, drinking, doing naughty things. We lived in quite a rough area, and, like, it was like, no, we're in. Do you know what I mean? Even at 16, friends are going out. Nope. Do you know what I mean? Even when I was 18, I was going out with friends, and because I was still at home, I remember he phoned the academy director, my dad, and told the academy director that I was going out.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working with. So, like, most parents wouldn't dare because they're scared they're going to get let go.
Yeah.
My dad, I think I was 16, 17 in the academy, and he phoned Brian Jones, his name, and said, because I was going out on Friday nights before Saturday academy games, because Friday nights were the night out at that age. So, like, he was like, that's it, phoning them. So the academy director called me in and said, you go out again, you're done.
Really?
And, like, I had to stop going out the night before games. So, like, that going out feeling was, like, from young, but he stopped me and he was that determined. So I can't look back and think, maybe I missed out on a certain childhood, but he always had that saying of, like, work hard now, play later. That was his phrase, because people that are enjoying when you're 16, 17, 18, they might struggle later because they haven't put the foundations down. So when I look back now, it was the right thing that he did.
Are there any players acting like you did at the beginning of your career, going out partying, or is that just a thing of the past now?
It's definitely a thing of the past. You know, I honestly, like, now I don't hear of, I've got friends in London, Manchester, players don't really go out anymore. I feel like camera phones now, they get you from a different room. Never mind. They're through a wall, yeah. Social media now, so many games, especially teams in Europe, seven Premier League teams in Europe. You're playing so much. I mean, the Villa players, don't hear of any of them going out. They've always got their girlfriends or they're very relaxed and family men. I think it's definitely a thing of the past. We were going out. We'd go to a club called Funky Buddha in London, Mayfair, opposite the Mayfair Hotel. and you see everyone in there.
All
Every
players.
club from Manchester, Newcastle, travelled down. It was like party time. Then Wednesdays was a club called Movida for players that were off on a Thursday. I mean, John Carew took me there my first time. We had a great time. It was just a way. You know, you'd go through different clubs to get out a different exit to avoid the paparazzi.
Okay.
I remember a club where we went through a kitchen, out some long corridor, and went up on the other side of London. Because the Paps didn't know that exit, so they're waiting for you at the front to catch you. Right. Do you know what I mean? So all these things were happening as players, but that was the norm. After a game, it was like, okay, where's the party at? Like, see the kids in the players' lounge and be like, all right, see you later. We're out. Where are we going? Are we going London? Are we going to Manchester? It was a late kickoff. We'd stay in Birmingham because of the travel situation.
Yeah.
It was just a way of like, the party life was so good back then.
What other players did you used to party with? And were there people that were further along that line, even more party animal like than you?
The Spurs boys love going out.
Okay.
That generation of Spurs lads, I'd always bump into them in the clubs. You know, the Carl Walkers, Aaron Lennons, Danny Rose a bit later on. But it was normal. You see Oxlade-Chamberlain, Wilshere. Do you know, like, it was just part of that thing. We had players from every club that liked to go out and enjoy. You had, like... Yeah, it was more, especially as well, the English lads. It was more, you know, the foreign lads didn't go out as much. But...
That's interesting.
It was just a case of, like, play Saturday, one game a week, off Sunday. Like, what are you waiting for? Do you know what I mean? What else are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? A lot of the players then probably didn't have girlfriends as well. It was more like... Okay, it's party time. You know, the London scene especially was very good back then with like parties. And it was just the norm. It was the norm before us. What we wouldn't do was like drink before training.
Yeah.
So we'd only go out if we were off the next day. There was no one that was going out and like coming into training the next day. Because you're young, that one day off kills your hangover. And the Thursday you're okay to go and train. So it was definitely an interesting time.
So a player I wanted to ask you about anyway, who probably is someone who's known as someone who likes a bit of a party, is Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
Obviously, Villa player for so long.
Yeah.
He did move. He got the big money move. How do you think that's gone?
Well, I look at when he left, I was devoed. I think he was devastated as well because it's one of them moves that you have to go. Even though you Villa through and through, you can't turn down guaranteed trophies, and that's what he's went and achieved. I think 2 Premier League titles he's got, as he, and
a treble.
The treble.
Yeah,
you know, he's had a great start to his time there, and a lot of people ask me the question of this season, how has he been? And you know, has he been at his best this season? He was saying no. You know, he's found it hard with injuries, niggles. He's been coming back from injuries and then getting into the same injury again, and you know, he'll look at Doku coming in, who's done well at times. And his game time this season has probably been spread out a bit more. But what I say to people is like, knockout football, Real Madrid, who started both games? Jack.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he's trustworthy for Pep. He plays the Pep way. And I think he's enjoying his time. He's playing with superstars. You know, he knows at Villa he could go and receive the ball anywhere he wanted. Go to right back if he wanted and get the ball. You can't do that under Pep. You've got your set play, set positions you've got to play in. And I think he's going to look back when he retires and say, I won this amount of league titles. I won this treble. Do you know what I mean? He's going to look back and like, I won the treble. Do you know what I mean? Playing regularly for England. So for me, it's gone very well for him.
You don't think there's a part of him, probably given as well how well Villa are doing now in comparison to the team that he played in and then left, there's not a part of him that wishes he'd stayed, boyhood club?
No, you know why? Because I feel that even from when he first joined us at Villa, the first team, you could just tell something about him, you know, with like big ambitions. Okay. At that time, Villa weren't where they are now, you know, different owners. And he had it in his mind like, oh, I can't play with De Bruyne. Do you know, I'm going to play with Foden, these superstars,
best in the world
players. I'm going to go and win trophies. And when he looks back, when he's retired, he's going to think, you know what? I got Villa promoted.
Yeah.
Some would say single-handedly because he was on fire. I kept him in the league with that goal. I think it was against West Ham. I think he scored. Kept Villa in the league as well. Do you know what I mean? And it wouldn't surprise me if he comes back.
Yeah, later down
You
his
know,
career.
later down in his career, depending where Villa are at, where his feelings are, but he's definitely still Villa through and through for me, and he will look back and amazing times that Villa played for his captain, his Boyhood club, and went and done amazing things with City.
And also raised £100 million, which is
Exactly,
doesn't suck either, does it?
yeah. Especially, I think that's still working around the books at Villa. That's still coming in handy. That money,
Yeah, I bet.
and you know, he's people don't realise he's the nicest guy. You know, like there's some idiots around, some idiot footballers. There's footballers that you might see every post, especially the American sports stars. They post their money. They post their private jets. Yeah. They post their chains. They post their £300,000 watches. Like, Jack's not like that. If you see social media, it's just his football, his dog, his family. You know, he doesn't flaunt his wealth. He's very, very generous as well. You could ask him for anything. I asked him for a couple of pairs of boots because we had a TalkSport 6-a-side.
Okay.
They were there 2 days later. 3 pairs of Puma boots. You know, like, he's just very, like, generous to anyone. He's paid for people that he doesn't know's funerals.
Wow, really?
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's given money towards funerals of someone from the area that he doesn't even know, but a friend of a friend might know. Like, very generous in that way, and that's why everyone warms to him.
Yeah, that's great. What are your thoughts on this Villa team doing remarkably well? You know, how does it compare to the Villa teams you played in?
I think it's better. I look at our Villa team we played in, and the thing about our Villa team was you had Gareth Barry, James Milner, Ashley Young, myself, Petrov, Carew, Stuart Downing. We were players that knew how to play. So it wasn't that we had like the coaches now. You know, if you look at Villa now, like I can imagine you've got Unai Emery that's on you every little bit of this player's going to do this. There's your video for that. There's your video, Ollie. McGinn, that's your video to look at the midfield you're playing again. This is what I want you to do. It's a very more hands-on. When we was playing, it was like bit of training, few set pieces, and go out and play. Gareth Barry knows when to sit back. Gareth Barry knows when to make a third man running. Petrov knows how to get on the ball. Ashley Young knows when to get chalk on his boots or when to come inside. Gabby knows when to run the channels or when to not. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit like back then, players knew the game. But if we had the coaches that there is now, the set-piece coaches, the coaches that will help with your tactics, maybe we would have gotten to the top 4 because we got sixth place 3 years in a row. And football's changed now. I feel like players are getting better and better.
Would you have enjoyed that more detailed approach that we see now if you were starting your career today?
If I saw the rewards, yes. I feel that if we were doing it and we were getting spanked every week, I'd be, this fly loves me. But now the players are seeing the rewards. You know, you look at Villa now and they're enjoying football. You know that like you've got to play from the back, you've got to get on the ball, you're allowed to express yourself. So I think I would enjoy it. Maybe not the shape, because I hated shape, because I got bored standing still and watching and start. I think that would have frustrated me, but if we were promised a little 5-a-side afterwards, then I think all the players would be on board.
When it came time to be done with your playing career, was there a moment when you thought, oh, I'm done?
I think my last year at Villa, I mean, Steve Bruce, he was amazing. I loved him, he loved me. But my body just wasn't the same. You know, as much as he wanted me to, he wanted me to get a new deal at Villa. He wanted me to keep playing, but my body was just like, it was finished. I think it had Jaeger bombs leaking out of it from 10 years ago still. But I was just injured. I was putting my calf in training. I never pulled my calf in training. I was putting my calf in places where I didn't know it was part of your calf, on the front of the calf.
Right.
So on the front where your shin is, to the left, that part of your calf. I didn't think that was possible. One of the rarest injuries you can do. And I was doing that. I was like doing the runs, and the young lads were just running rings around you when you're doing the running. You just know. I just knew then. And I didn't, I left Villa that summer. I didn't really announce it until, I can't remember how long it was, 3-4 months later. And the reason why I announced it is because I went to a Pride of Birmingham Awards and as a guest, and the owner of Solihull Moors in the National League approached me and said, would you come and play for us? You'll get a trip to Wembley. And I'm like, okay. So I literally walked out after the awards finished, and there was the Birmingham Mail, and they were like, oh, can we have a few words? And I said, I'm retiring there. It was like, if they're the offers that people think I'm going to go and play at, I played at like, scored at every big stadium in the league. If that's the offers that are going to come in, I wasn't really bothered about offers. In my mind, I was done. And I was like, I'm retiring. So I said it then, and then I told the kids. And as mad as it sounds, I'm not an emotional guy, but I cried. When I told the kids, I sort of like burst into tears because they've never seen me cry. No one's seen me cry. I'm not like that, very old school. But it was like, in my head, it was like, it's over.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to do now. I've got no plans for the future. I've got it's nothing set in stone. I've got, do you know what I mean? All them happy times of scoring at Villa Park, gone. Do you know what I mean? It's over. And like, players don't realise when that day comes how much it hits you, because it's going to come for everyone. And it's like, are you done? What now, mate? You're 32. What are you going to do now? Do you know what I mean? As players as well, we don't always look for the future. We think, I'm going to earn all this money, I'm just going to go on a holiday for the next 30 years and then I'm going to die. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. You get bored of a holiday. So the players now need to be looking at the future, definitely.
Do you think if you were 5 years younger, you'd have had a few years in Saudi Arabia at the end of your career?
I think it's one of them you can't say no. You know, I feel like I don't judge anyone that goes there. They've got their own reasons. But I think it's one of them places where, you know, like, I think they published what Neymar's staying in. I think it's like an 18-bedroomed villa with 3 chefs, 2 nannies. You know what I mean? Like you go to the greatest weather as well, the climate, safe as well. Do you know what I mean? Environment. You know what I mean? You're not going to get robbed walking down the street in Saudi Arabia like you do in England now. So it's definitely something that I would have done 100%.
So you mentioned around, obviously, a lot of players struggle with their retiring. It sounds like you didn't have plans for the next step. What did you do then after you retired? What was that first year, 2 years? Partying? Yes.
As you do. I was relentless, drinking, partying, London all the time, partying, holidays. And then I remember sitting down and thinking to myself, I've got nothing in the diary. It was a Sunday. And I'm like, Monday nothing, Tuesday nothing, next Monday nothing, next Tuesday nothing. Lovely kids, do you know what I mean? I had 4 lovely kids, but I'm like, I don't want to be a full-time dad.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing a school run, there and back 5 days a week. That's not me. Do you know what I mean? I've obviously done the school run when possible, of course, but I'm 32. I can't not do anything now. Like, what the hell? Like, this is like, some people are only qualifying for their jobs at this age. You know, surgeons, for instance, it takes them their late 20s to get their jobs. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I remember speaking to Micah Richards, and he was like, try the media. I'm like, nah, the Birmingham accent, nah, I can't do that. No one likes the Birmingham accent. We get ripped. But he's like, you're funny, you got personality, like, you got banter, try it. So I was like, all right then. So there's like an agent that gets people work for media, and he got me into TalkSport, had a go, got me a few other gigs that like new people get when they want to start the media. And I was enjoying it. I remember doing like Sky Sports News, and I was enjoying it. TalkSport, I was loving it. And then TalkSport started to like me even more and more. Yeah. And I started doing more and more, getting more experience of what you can say, how to work it. And I was enjoying it. And like, people were taking to me on there. So I was like, good job I listened to Micah and done it, because I went and done my coaching badges, but coaching I never really fancied. My kids don't listen to me, never mind someone else's. So yeah, thank God I got into that. But the only problem with that for everyone is not enough jobs.
Yeah, of course.
There's only a limited amount of jobs in the radio, on TV, and so many footballers every year retiring.
I definitely want to get into the TalkSport stuff in a minute, because I think that's really interesting. When you were partying post-career, did it ever get scary? Did you ever think, I could lose myself here?
I didn't think... You know what always stopped me from ever getting to that level is because I've got kids.
Right.
I think the thing that changed my career, because because I was gambling a lot when I was younger. When I had my first son, when I was 21, and that stopped my gambling straight away.
So you stopped at 21?
Straight away, because I've got kids. Like, you're blowing their money. Do you know what I mean? My money's their money. So, like, when I retired, I was drinking loads. It was more like, I was drinking silly amounts. I was going out partying, but I wasn't the sort of drinker who would drink in a room on their own.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I was never that drinker, like a sad drinker. I was more like, there's got to be music to drink. I can't drink without music. So it's more that party boy style.
Sociable thing.
Yeah, I was social, going out, girls, partying, with friends. But then when I wasn't partying, it's not as if I was at home with a bottle of vodka down in it. Do you know what I mean? That was never me. I was never a guy who could just drink at home. I didn't see the point to go to bed and get hungover and go to bed.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I thought, I'm going to drink at home and wake up hungover. I was never definitely never an alcoholic. It was more get drunk to enjoy that vibe of partying and going out. So I never thought I'd lose myself, but I thought this isn't good. You're blowing money. London's expensive, nights out. And where does it end? Because the problem with footballers, and not just footballers, anyone, when you've earned a bit of money, and when I retired, I was like, I've got no boss.
Yeah, okay.
No one can tell me what to do. The government can, of course, but no one can tell me. If I want to go to Vegas for 6 months and do the Haymack Arena down the strip, no one can stop me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was my scary thinking, was like, I'm invincible. No one can stop me doing anything. So that was a scary thing. And once I started working in media, it's like, okay, I got a boss again now. Phew. I can't be going in. I can't be going and getting drunk the night before I'm working on TalkSport, because they'll smile like on you. You look bad. You get the sack. You got to be careful what you say. You can't do stupid things because you get the sack. So having a boss now, and since that time, was like a savior, because you got an employee that's going to be angry if you mess up. So
like a healthy boundary.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I feel like not having a boss out there is like scary.
I spoke with Danny Murphy fairly recently, and he told me how much he struggled after he retired, and he ended up, we basically said he was addicted to cocaine.
Yeah.
With all the partying, were you ever going down that drug route? Was that something that you explored or scared you?
Never. And I know my body. I'm the sort to, like, even when I've done shisha and I've had too much, I've ended up being sick. I've done snus. And I had to run out of the club and was sick, red face, of snus. So I just knew my body, that like my body's not built for that, alcohol it is, and just never interested me. Drugs was never something I ever thought, that could be fun. Tequila. Do you know what I mean? 1942 Don Julio was always the go-to for me, or Patron before that, and the pineapple juice as your chaser. That was always what got me to that level of like, all right, I'm drunk, I'm having a good time. So luckily for me, drugs never.
You mentioned around gambling early on in your career.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and sort of how significant was that?
You know what? It was, at first, I used to go to casinos with friends and play a bit of blackjack, a bit of roulette, nothing silly. But then I started playing poker.
Okay.
And I just enjoyed bluffing and showing my cards on the table. So that's my character wind up. So I'd go to casinos and like I'd bluff someone with like, 6 high. And like I would show my cards in the casino for banter. But then what happened was someone said to me, you can play online. I was like, what? You can play online on a laptop? And they were like, yeah. I was like, what? So like set it up on my laptop, and because we only trained till 1 o'clock back then on the Martin O'Neill sometimes, I'd like lived on my own, lived with 2 of my friends at my house. So from 1 o'clock, I'm sitting there like, I'm not gonna watch, do you know what I mean, Last of the Summer Wine that my dad used to watch, or boring TV. So I'm like, you like poker? Let's have a go on the computer.
Yeah.
It's a proper game. You can transfer your money through your card. But the problem is that because I enjoyed the buzz, I wasn't doing it for money.
Yeah.
That's the silly thing about some people gambling, is like, I wasn't doing it for the extra money to pay my mortgage. I was doing it for that buzz when you win a hand. And it goes ka-ching, and the money goes in, and on your screen, and you're like, yep, just beat someone. I bluffed them as well, or I had a flush on the last card or whatever. So that was the buzz. But the problem is that the buzz wasn't enough at that time for like playing a game of like £100.
Okay.
It was the big boy tables of the £100, £200 blinds. So you'd have to have 5,000 or 10,000 behind you.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. And then you play and you'd be like, that guy's got a king flush, I've got a queen flush, I've just lost. You know you're going to win, but someone's got a better hand. And then it was so easy to go, another 10,000. Wow. In. Do you know what I mean? So that's the problem. And what I'd do then was, because I'd be so angry I lost a hand, laptop, throw it downstairs, off the banister, Apple Mac, into pieces. I'd rip it open, the Mac, you know, like angry because you've lost a hand that you shouldn't lose. Yeah. Then I'd be like, message a friend, you got a spare laptop? So I ended up my friend's big old laptop come around. I'm like, how does this work? Buying a new Apple Mac. And then I was like, this isn't good. And like some of the younger players at the time at the club, I think, had problems as well.
With the same thing?
Yeah, I think because it's online, isn't it? It's like, it's so easy. And then I had my son at 21 and I was like, stopped. It was like, easy.
And haven't played since?
Never played online since. Played at casinos, but normal amounts. So like, it wasn't like, that time when I stopped, it was like, the addiction was online. Yeah. Because when you got money in your hand in a casino and you're playing on the table, you can see the money. So you don't want to blow it as much. So I was going to casinos and like, I might lose 500 there, I might win 500, I might lose 750 or win 750. But because I was withdrawing the money out and I was seeing it, it was harder for me to want to lose it or spend it. You'd never go to a casino and be like, there's 10,000. Yeah. You'd be like, what? Not a chance. But when it was online, it was like, whoa. But having my son at 21, it was like, this is their money you're blowing. If you carry on like this, you're going to lose everything you've earned for the last 3 years. So luckily for me, because I was quite lucky that I got over that habit, addiction, young. So I still had an earning capacity for 10 years.
I
didn't do it at 29. I blew everything, which I was lucky.
I went through a phase of online poker and I know I've got quite a few friends that did, and I sort of have like a business background, and me and my friends liked it from the strategic angle, like, can we work it out, can we beat people?
Yes,
and I think
of course.
It can suck you in because you're playing against other people as opposed to like a casino. You think, well, I can win here over the long run. This isn't like, I'm not just putting money in a slot machine here. But it can definitely, I remember times where you start playing and you realise it's 5 hours later and you go, oh, I mean, I was only ever playing for tiny amounts.
But you're sitting there and like, I love poker and I love the game, the bluffing and the aggressiveness. But you're there and you're like, oh, let me play with a rubbish hand. Sometimes the rubbish hands win. So you know what? I'm going to play with 7-2. Yeah. It's only £10 blind. No one's raised. What happens? 7 and 2 come out.
Yeah.
But then the last card might give someone a higher 2 pair. So like you lose on the last card because they're a higher 2 pair and you're like, I'm in now. I can't really not fold when he's put 500 in. Do you know what I mean? But he's hit on the last card and then you're like, it's all right, next hand. And before you know it, you're like, it's not 1 p.m. anymore. It's 7 p.m. And you're just there, laptop's charged in. Do you know what I mean? But what's good though now is that these companies have got so many regulations and restrictions. Okay. That betting companies now, so it's a lot better for people now. But back then it was like Wild West. You could withdraw what you wanted, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000.
Just keep doing it.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, I just spent all my wages.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
You would do that sometimes in like an afternoon.
Yeah. 10,000, 10,000. You're like, oh, you just blew 20,000 today. Oh.
That's your week's wages.
And $1,000 for a laptop.
Yeah,
and a new laptop needs to be ordered. But like, at that time, I was lucky that I was young and I got over it, because after that, I didn't really, even then, I didn't feel like I was addicted. I was just loving the buzz of it.
I guess there's a fine line, isn't there?
Yeah, because addiction, I wouldn't have been able to I wouldn't have been able to stop like that.
Yeah,
Having a kid wouldn't have stopped me.
Yeah.
It would have been like, it'd be all right, you can win that back. But since then, I've been casinos for 15 years and I've had a little play on roulette for £100 and left. Yeah. I've went and played with £500, won $2,000 and cashed it in and left.
Yeah.
Do you know, I went with my girlfriend last month and I won like £1,000 and cashed it in and left.
Yeah.
But 21, I'd have been like, I can't leave anything. I need to make that £3,000 or £6,000. There's no point taking £1,000 back. Do you know what I mean?
Keep going.
But now I can go there, I can have a bit of fun with it. So luckily for me, it was a habit I got rid of early.
I think as well, what people who aren't familiar with it, when you play poker online, you get through so many more hands than you do in a casino.
Yes,
you
quicker.
can play multiple tables at once. So you could play 8, 12 tables all at the same time. It's like constant dopamine hits.
It's horrible. It's like you said, you've got different ones open. You're like, okay, I can chill on that game now. I can sort of like time out for a bit. You can sit out, can't you?
Yeah.
And wait if you're not getting the hands.
Wait till a good hand. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. But
pocket kings, let's go.
Yeah. Wait. People always wait for their kings and someone have aces. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah, exactly. So. Interesting. And you didn't go back into playing any online in that difficult period.
No. Didn't even come to my mind. Even that year that was difficult. Didn't even come into my mind. Didn't.
When you were gambling, when you were playing, I'm assuming, but probably a good idea to ask, given what we know about certain players, you never bet on football whilst you were playing?
I wouldn't bet on myself. I would have been bankrupt, wouldn't I? If I bet on myself to score, wouldn't have went down well. No, never. Not something that football bets weren't really ones that you were allowed back then as well.
Were you?
To bet on football.
Oh, interesting.
Not bet on yourself. I don't know if you're about to bet on yourself. I'm sure you could bet on football 2009s, 10s. I think they only come in maybe 6-7 years ago. I have to check that, but you could definitely bet on football back then. But football didn't interest me to bet on because it was like anything could happen, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could bet, imagine betting on Man United or Man City to win and it's one game where they have an off day and they lose. So football wasn't something I'd ever bet on. I'd bet on maybe horse racing now and then, but only a little bit. The only time I bet big was poker. It was like I was loving the game, the buzz when you beat someone, you just see 3,000 just swipes into your little corner at the bottom where you got your funds. That was the buzz then. It was never betting on football.
Why do you think so many footballers do gamble? I think it's just part of the personality type.
I don't know if they do as much now, but I think it was more when we played of boredom. You got to think like these players now are training longer. They might be training in the afternoon and doing their proprioception, their special injury prevention in the afternoon. We was like, see you later, 12:30. We're off to Nando's in the mailbox. Do you know what I mean? See you later. We weren't training as long, so like you're at home bored.
Yeah.
Now they're finishing, and there's other hobbies of more players play PlayStations now and have them sort of hobbies and have friends around or whatever. But back then it was like going home and I'm like, what am I going to do today? I'm not going to be at training until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Got nearly a whole day to kill.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So it was like boredom. TV was rubbish. You'd watch your box set on your DVD player and you'd done that. So it was more like, what I should have done is went to an afternoon party, shouldn't I? I should
Better for you overall.
I should have had a day club. It would have been cheaper with the fines. But no, it was more like boredom back then. But I don't think I think the players now have learned a lot from the older generations. Like we learned a lot from the generation before us of like saving and being careful and buying properties and stuff. We learned from the generation before us of like, be careful, don't do this, don't do that. Even some players said to me, don't get married.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the older players are, don't get married. Worst thing you do. I'm still not married. So I must listen to them on that part. But this new generation will have seen all that, will have heard the stories, will have seen the players' podcast and talking about it. And they're more clever now. I feel like they're more clever with their money.
I wanted to ask you about money post-retirement because I've spoken to a number of ex-footballers. We had Wes Brown in here saying how he went bankrupt. Danny Murphy was talking about financial difficulties. Jamie O'Hara, fellow TalkSport host, he basically lost all his money post-playing. What was that like for you? Because obviously your earning potential drops massively and all of a sudden. Were you prepared for it? Was it a big shock? Did you get into any financial difficulties?
No, I didn't. I've been lucky, to be fair, because my football agent is an ex-banker by trade. So since I was 17, he's controlled my finances.
Right.
Still to today.
Fair.
So he would give me, I'd have a separate account and like he would transfer money for me every month.
Okay.
Like a kid, really. I was like a kid.
Yeah.
So I had
like given an allowance.
Yeah, an allowance. I was given an allowance and a card that I can use. The card that I got paid in, I didn't have, I couldn't touch.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the same now. So whatever I get paid or whatever I've got, I can't touch. It's basically like he's always been there and says, I've gone to him. My friend said pub. My friend said restaurant. He's like, no, go away. My friend said, no, what about this flavoured water? No. So he's always been like good with me. So like, fingers crossed I'll never have financial difficulty. Yeah. But what he did do is he explained that first year after I retired, he was like, you can't continue like this.
Yeah.
He was like, you can't be spending what you were spending before. So he gave me a year carrying on the same allowance, and he was like, you're not getting paid now, so that allowance has got to come down dramatically.
Yeah.
You know, the crazy holidays to Vegas, it's not happening no more. Yeah. If you're booking a holiday, you're booking in advance, so you're getting a proper price. Do you know, like, it was more like,
not last minute.
You've got to live like a normal person now. You're not a footballer anymore. You're not changing your car. I change my car every 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not changing your car every year. You're not having 2 cars. You're not doing things you do. You're not going to Harvey Nichols and spending £4,000. Yeah. Because you're bored and you're going for a bit of lunch. Do you know what I mean? You're shopping at normal places now. I'm buying Arne. I'm buying Zara. You know what I mean? You're just going to different places. Back then it was like, oh, it has to be Dolce & Gabbana. Has to be Givenchy. Has to be Amiri now. Do you know what I mean? Them days are gone. And if you in your mind can get over that, and I could easily, that's why I haven't had financial trouble, because I've been able to like spend sort of like a right amount, not be silly. But not everyone's got that person that I've got.
Yeah.
And that's what they need, because I would have blew it all, 100%.
If you hadn't had him doing that for you,
100%.
It's all gone.
I would have been like, my mate, you want to, yeah, no problem. What is it, 100? Yeah, what is it, 100? Yeah, no problem. 100? Okay, yeah. Let me know when the profit comes in. And then these things don't work and you lose it all. And then you're buying the wrong place. You're buying the wrong house. You're investing in the wrong business. You're investing in the wrong apartment blocks. Do you know what I mean? So like, he was so firm, and like, I allowed him to be. Like, he had more say than my dad.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, I like brought my dad a house. It was like, has to be in your name. My dad's like, why? And I'm like, gotta go with him.
Yeah.
So my dad's got a house that's in my name. So just like very, very like good for me. And when I look back now, I'm like, thank God for him.
Yeah.
And he still does it now, you know. And that's what players need, because there's so many wrong uns out there, tag-alongs that want to influence you and ask you to do this investment, that investment. What about this? What about crypto? I remember messaging him about crypto. He just put the phone down. I phoned him, he put the phone down. Just stop it. And the NFTs was it, where you buy an image. It was like, no, you're not buying an image of yourself. No, you're not.
For X amount.
Do you know what I mean? So like, that was good for me. So I could just like have my spending money. If I wanted extra, he'd give me a bit extra.
Yeah.
I remember going on holidays during my playing career, and he'd give me my full, because we got paid being off. So that 6 weeks we were off, he says, whatever you earn in these 6 weeks, you can spend.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's why I could go on a wild Vegas holidays where you're spending 80,000 and you're going to Miami.
£80,000 holiday?
Yeah, because he said, like, you had a long season and you're getting paid while you're off. Enjoy. Because when you come back, it's work time. So that 2 months you're back pre-season, you're not spending a penny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, go and enjoy. Like, you're a young lad, you like partying and enjoy. So he didn't want to be that guy who's like, no, you got to save every penny, because tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us.
Yeah.
You could be the perfect person and save everything and
never get a chance to enjoy
you're going to die tomorrow. Oh, okay. Well, I've got all these plans that I've saved up for. Yeah, sorry. You're not all living till 85. So that's how he always said to me, like, these summers, go and have a blowout. You're a young lad. Part of the time I was single. Go and enjoy. Have these crazy holidays with your friends. I'd pay for my friends to come over. We'd get tables. We'd be partying day and night. But it was like, that was the summer to have your blowout. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what the players will do now. They'll stay in most of the year, and then they'll go private jets here, private jet there, spend a fortune. But during the season, don't spend on drinking or partying.
Sounds like that. I mean, that is exactly what people need, to have that person that's going to help them out, because when people have been telling me, ex-footballers been telling me about the financial difficulties they've had, often it's the complete opposite. It's not been necessarily because they've spent it. It's because they've been getting bad advice from someone who's not trustworthy, who's putting them into film schemes, or I think Jamie said he part invested in a hotel. It still hasn't been built. This is from like a decade ago, and you know, stuff like that.
It's even like I remember saying to him, like, I want a place abroad. He's like, nope. Do you know what I mean? Like there's people that can't sell their place in Portugal. They look at this. Yeah. They can't sell them. Players are trying to sell them. They can't sell them. Nope. Why they build a new set of villas next to yours goes down. So like you said, I was lucky that when the agent approached me and my dad when I was 16, 17, he had that background, because if he didn't, what they do is they put you in touch with a financial company. Yeah. And so luckily he done it all himself. Do you know what I mean? And he was like very clever in how he set it all out and always protected me. But like you says, it's scary out there because players just like bad advice, like them film schemes that some of them said about. Like it's just something that as a player, like yep, no problem, yep, no problem, yep. But he was just so on it. So that's why, luckily, and that's why people, I remember when I did retire, some people were like, that's shocking that he can retire at 31. Do you know, they were angry that I could retire. They were like, no, he should suffer. He should be at Swindon. He should be at Mansfield.
Should have lost it all and have to eke it out.
Yeah, he should slum in it. He should be at Wimbledon away on a Tuesday night when the Champions League's on. How dare he be able to retire at 31? Do you know what I mean? Like, but I was lucky enough that my career had gone down that, and like, even if I wanted to carry on playing, the offers weren't great. Yeah. I had one offer from Thailand, and I was like, well, it sounds nice, to be fair. I always wanted to go to Thailand. I don't think I'll be doing much training. I think I'll be like on them beaches chilling.
Some good parties.
Where's the parties? But if I was not sensible with my money through him, that guy, then I would have had to go and play at like a League Two club for £1,000 a week, or £750 a week. Yeah. When you've gone from the height to what you're earning, and that's not going to be easy to go down to that when you've been earning that and you're going down to play hard as well in the lower leagues. It's not easy. Do you know what I mean? I've been brought up watching the Champions League on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, my feet up with some popcorn, not travelling 6 hours on a coach. Do you know what I mean? To Carlisle to play in a game, which is like normal for a lot of players, but when you played at the top, it was like, I can't do that. But if I wasn't sensible with the money, I'd have had no choice. You got bills to pay, you hadn't paid your mortgage off, you ain't got a choice. That's all you can do, your feet.
You mentioned 80,000 on a holiday. What's the most you ever spent on a holiday? Was it that, the 80 grand?
I think it was about 100.
100 on one holiday?
But you know, it was though. Wow. That was because, right, imagine 6 weeks off, we break it down to 6 weeks off. So the first holiday would be a trip to Dubai with the 2 kids at the time and missus. That with itself, with business class flights and like hotel Jumeirah Beach or whatever, that you're talking back then probably 10,000. Yeah. Then you'd come back from that and you'd be like, all right, it's a lad's holiday. So you'd help your friends out because their normal job's not earning much. Right. So I'd help them out towards their flights and hotels. Yeah. So before you book the hotels and flights, you're talking like 7,000-8,000. Then the beach clubs, £3,000-4,000 minimums. We'd go for 10 days to Vegas. Then the night time would be £3,000-4,000 minimums
per night.
Men don't get treated well in these places.
UK.
Girls get in for free. If you don't have a table, like get to the back of the 2 mile queue. Do you know what I mean? You get treated like crap if you're a man in these places because it's like, no, you have to have a table to get in. So within a day, it could be like 6,000-7,000 a day that you spent. Do you know what I mean? On partying, or you haven't got a choice. You have minimums, and in America, it's gratuity, it's tax, gets it up to 4. Yeah. So before you know it, you're doing 8 grand a day, 10 days, 80,000 plus the other holidays. So it's not even like you're going crazy, and that 3,000 will get you like a bottle of Magnum vodka, bottle of tequila twice. Yeah. It's not as if you're getting like 20
not
bottles
the whole
of
family
champagne.
Holiday, like a lot of people.
Yeah, you're not getting 20 bottles of champagne and you're spraying it around the whole club. So it's not like you're going wild on being flashy spending. It's just getting a table. And just most people go Vegas for 2 nights. I'm going for 10 days like a party addict. So like that was the problem and why the expense was so high. Does that make sense? When you haven't got other people chipping in because you're helping your friends out. So when normally you go and you'd be like, all right, $3,000 table, 6 of us, splitting it. But because if I didn't pay for some of my friends, I'm going to go away on my own.
Yeah.
So you're going to help your friends out and pay. So, but my agent always says, like, you're going to earn more your way. And what footballers get, I don't forget now, was always a signing on fee.
Yeah.
Start of July, which was like in your contract, like a lump sum.
Okay.
So that covered the holidays. Yeah. So every July you got a lump sum, and like it's sort of like sign on fee. They call it a loyalty bonus or whatever. Every summer from like the 30th of June, you'd get it, and then you get paid it in August pay. So that's sort of like pay for your summer anyway. If that makes sense.
Nice. Is it also true that you bought a £200,000 Lamborghini when you signed a contract or got a big sponsorship?
No, you know what? I brought one in early on in my career under Martin O'Neill, and that was like, I think that was 100.
Right.
But then I did buy one. Paul Lambert was the manager. It was funny. 2013, 14. But when I say buy, never paid fully for a car.
Okay.
He's talking about lease, so it might have been like 20,000, 30,000 down and $2,500 a month. That's what I paid for the Lamborghini Aventador. Okay. And I had it right, and I was like, this isn't built for England. It rains every day.
Right.
You're going to just end up in someone's house. Do you know what I mean? Like it's too quick. My daughter at 3 years old was scared in it. It was too quick. Speed bumps everywhere.
Yeah.
I had it for a year, and I got rid of it. So like the 20,000 I put down and $2,500 for a year was lost. But it was at that time where like you've seen them sports cars, but we're not built for it in this country. I've not had one since.
No. Yeah.
Just had Audis and Range Rovers since, because we're not built for sports cars, are we? You know, we had rain for like 7 months this year.
At least.
We never have it out. So yeah, that was more at that time. It was like from when I first started playing, it was always like, I love cars. Yeah. It was like Audi S5. It was then Bentley Continental GT. It was DBS Aston Martin. Do you know, it was just like different cars every year just to be like, oh, I fancy that. But like when you look back, you're like, yeah, wasted a lot of money. But
sometimes you got to do these things.
Yeah,
you've got to have fun.
System.
You've got to give 15-year-old you what he wanted, if you can.
Since I retired, honestly, like 5 years. Recently changed my car. My old car was 19 plate. Recently changed it. Keep them for 5 years, and like holidays in advance. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sitting in economy with my kids. Like I don't care now. Like I'm a different person. I'm not that footballer anymore. If I want to keep that footballer lifestyle, I'm going to be bankrupt before you know it, a couple of years, because you can't keep up. These guys are earning $300,000 a week now, 150 minimum, some of them. So you have to like, what's it called? You can't keep up with the Joneses. You have to have your new life. You've got a decent job now, and like if you carry on living a normal life, then you won't have money problems.
So going to talk about TalkSport, I wanted to come back to that. How long have you been on TalkSport for now?
I think about 4 years.
4 years?
4 years, yeah, during COVID.
And I think of all the people on TalkSport, you are known for being outspoken,
Yeah.
which is probably part of the reason why it's so popular on there. Because I think nothing drives people nuts who are into football more than a pundit that doesn't speak their mind.
Yeah,
people want to hear what they're speaking. Is that something that came very naturally, or did you have to warm up to feeling like you could say what you thought?
I think at first you're a bit scared because you've got the cameras on you and you're like, everyone talks about being sued nowadays or defamation. Like that was new words to me. I only knew about defamation in 2022. I didn't know what it meant. Do you know what I mean? A dumb footballer who didn't get any GCSEs. I was like, defamation, what's that? And I'm like, yeah, you can get sued if you say something that like isn't. You know what I mean? So like, I had to learn all this stuff. I'm like, oh, yeah, are we in America where they get sued for everything?
Yeah.
But it was more like you warm up and you get used to the job. But then I thought to myself, like, if I'm going to do this, I've always been a wind up. I wind my kids up. I wind my girlfriends up. Back in the day, like family members, be yourself. Don't be like, oh, polite. Oh, you know, they were okay, but they can do better next week. Just give them time. I mean, like that's not me.
Yeah,
that's not me. Like I've always been like, speak my mind. Do you know, on the pitch, I'd score, I'd celebrate in front of the away fans, the fans that hated me. I'll do it like the shush in front of them and stand in front of them. That's me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I can imagine Jamie Vardy, if he does media one day, he'd be a wind-up Neil Maupay. Sometimes it's your character, and that's what like I've tried to bring off, like personality, be a bit fun. being myself. If I've got something to say, someone annoys me, they're getting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, often Manchester United, but it is what it is. When I see some of their players and I go back to the United team I played against and I look at them now, I'm like, what's going on? You know, you see a player like Anthony's the one that always gets it of me because I watch him and I watch players like Ronaldo, Valencia, Park Ji-sung, even Nani, all these players that play for Manchester United, and they might have done tricks, but they'd earned it.
Yeah.
They're getting double figures goals. This guy's scoring one goal and he's doing a rainbow flick. So I'm like, I'm going to call you out. I don't care. Man United fans have got a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because when you meet fans in person, they don't say what they say on social media.
Yes, of course. You've also, we're calling people out, you've got some people to bite previously. Jurgen Klopp probably being one of the... what was that like when he called you
I was
out?
in Bournemouth, right? I was in bed in Bournemouth with my girlfriend. She lives there. And these missed calls at 8 o'clock. Like TalkSport producers, and they're like, I'll phone them back. I'm like, what? Have you seen what Jurgen Klopp? I was like, no. Can you come on? No. Like, no. I'm like, let me see what he said. But the problem with what he said and annoyed me was because Manchester United got stuffed by Brentford.
Yeah.
3-4-0. First
4, I think. Yeah,
I think it was early on in the season. And every pundit in the world hammered them.
Yep.
Everyone. He was listening to TalkSport, so heard me hammering them. So then he's took offence to that. And when I heard it, and when I first spoke about it, I was like, they're your rivals, you know, mate.
Yeah.
Like, Liverpool and Man United hate each other. You shouldn't be getting involved. Let the Manchester United manager sort of respond if he wants to respond. And I was like, okay, Jurgen, like, let's see then. And he come for me a bit. He was like, Gabby, what's he... Like, he knew my name.
Yeah.
And then I didn't think he was mentality monster. And I was like, okay, what happened that season? Finished at the top 4. Poor season. Lost to Manchester United a few weeks later, I think. I'm sure that I was like, every time I'm going to go on, mentality monsters. You're not mentality monsters, Jurgen. Like, it's not mentality monster that we're seeing now from your team. But that was more like, I wish they had phoned in. Because you could have the argument of like, it's not your team. What are you talking about? Why are you defending other teams? Have you phoned Sky? Have you phoned BBC Radio? Have you phoned Main Sports? Have you phoned, do you know what I mean? All these companies that everyone was giving Manchester United stick. So it was quite. It was funny though because I was getting all sorts of Liverpool fans. You know what fans are like?
Yeah.
I was getting people that weren't even on planet Earth.
And they'd follow whatever
people
Klopp
from
says.
Mars were messaging me, saying like, how dare you? Yeah, girl, he's the guy. How dare you? You have to apologise. I was just laughing at home thinking like, you've seen nothing yet.
Oh, it's all good fun. Yeah. Sometimes these things are taken too seriously.
Yeah, of course.
Have you ever said anything though that you feel gone over the line you later regretted?
I feel like the one thing that I look back and not regret, but was a bit harsh and tongue-in-cheek. Not tongue-in-cheek, but just speaking out loud sometimes in your head. You forget that like every little thing you say is recorded and people can take it. It was about Newcastle.
Okay.
So I said that players would take £10,000 less at Brentford than go to Newcastle. This was before the takeover. Basically, because I said that because during my playing career, players didn't want to go to Newcastle, didn't want to go to Sunderland, didn't want to go to Middlesbrough. Furthest they wanted to go to was maybe like Leeds at a push because they all wanted to go to the south, wanted to be in London, the bright lights. They didn't want to be in Newcastle, where like good night for a party, but players didn't want to be there, far from everyone's family. A lot of players were London or Midlands based or Manchester. So I sort of said that out of like, if I was playing then, before the takeover, I would take 10 grand a week less to be closer to London. Like, it's not the craziest idea. Like, do you want to be like Brentford, right in London, West London, or for 10 grand after tax, 20 grand a month extra, so 30 grand or 40 grand a week, I'd rather 30 grand at Brentford. I don't think that was a bad thing to say. I know it's going to insult Newcastle and people that live there, but I wasn't trying to insult them. I was just saying that, like, I prefer to take a little bit less and be closer to home or closer to London because I love London that much. Other players wouldn't care. They'd be like, no more money, whatever. But maybe players that are London-based or Midlands would be like, oh, I'd rather be close to my kids. I can probably commute from here a bit.
Yeah.
Newcastle, you got me the whole family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But obviously that was before the takeover, and I was getting called out by Geordie Shore people. Honestly, I had to get some dirt on the one guy. He hammered me from Geordie Shore. I had to get some dirt, and I hammered him straight back. I think he was still living at his mum's house at like 35. He got hammered. So like I was.
Do you remember who that was?
No, I can't remember. You can probably look back. I think I posted on Instagram. I might have deleted it, but I think I got a story off him from somewhere, and I absolutely slaughtered him because he said something like, "Oh, another person on TalkSport because I need to pay the bills," and I was like, "You really don't know me very well, then, mate. Like, I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because I enjoy the job." And there was I think a picture of him. He might have been still living at his nan's or something. Do you know what I mean? So I just hammered him, and like it was hilarious. You know, ex-Newcastle players fuming.
Of course.
And I was like, Warren Barton, I think might have been one of them. And I was just like, what have I done? But funny though.
It's also, you know, it's like you speak to people who aren't from the UK, and the only thing they know is London. So the idea, I can imagine you talking to a foreign player, and you're saying, "Oh no, it's not." They're like, "We got you moved to the Premier League." Where? Yeah, it's not London. It's about 7 hours north.
It's by Scotland.
They'd be like, what? They didn't know there was a 7 hours north.
So it's gonna, and I think any country, like you're gonna want to be in the best cities. Do you know what I mean? The top cities. You go to Italy, you want to be like maybe Milan or Rome. You know, you go to Spain, or Madrid or Barcelona or whatever. But it was something else taken out of. But it went viral. I'm talking like the Newcastle chief exec or something tweeted about it. I think Newcastle might have tweeted saying good morning to everyone but Gabby Agbonlahor. So it was like, brilliant. I was getting slaughtered, and I was like, whoa, Newcastle's off the list, lads.
Yeah.
Maybe. If there's a stag do, we'll stay away from Newcastle. All right, we'll go Sunderland.
Probably a good idea for you. In recent years, football YouTubers have become quite a thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole football YouTube scene?
I don't mind it when they're speaking sense, and like there's a lot of good YouTubers. Like there's one like that I like, Flex does a bit. There's good YouTubers out there, and I get it. Like they didn't play the game, but if they're speaking sense, it doesn't matter for me if you haven't played the game. It's the YouTubers that are just putting out crazy things and false stories of players, and that's what I don't like. And people can't get involved with them. But there's a lot of good YouTubers out there because you can't say like, oh, you didn't play the game. That's very like dinosaur mentality. You might never kick the ball in your life, but if you watch a game, you can sort of like know the right things. So I've got no problem with it, but some of them are annoying. Certain of them.
Any examples that come to mind?
You know what's funny? Mark Goldbridge is funny, but you know what's funny?
Well, he's on TalkSport as well, isn't he?
But you know what's funny about him? He lives by me.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I bumped into him
really
a couple of months ago. I was on a run with my son, and I was like, and I saw him. He's like, "You all right?" I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Do you know, like a bit like you forget what was said and stuff. He's harmless, isn't he? Stuff sometimes, but then what I had against him was like he would be on the show after me, but he does it from home, I think.
Yeah.
And I'd be in the car on the way home, and he'd be like. And that nonsense talker Gabby has just been on saying this about Man United.
Just after
and he's hammering me. I'm like, you cheeky little shit. I'm like, how dare you?
Too right.
Do you know what I mean? But like,
especially for someone like you who's played at the top level and someone who hasn't played, that must great.
Of course it does. But then I get it because if he wasn't like that, if he doesn't hold any prisoners, then he's gonna have the Man United fans saying, "Yeah, man, you tell him." And he's got a big following as well, huge following. So he knows what he's doing. You've got Marcus Rashford situation recently, and they're quoting his name in the Mail Online and newspapers. So I get what they're doing, and like there's a lot of money to be made in the YouTube stuff now, and leave them to crack on.
Mark's a very interesting case study of that. I mean, he's probably the biggest football YouTuber there is now.
100%, yeah.
He's got, I think, on his main United Stand channel, it's almost 2 million subscribers. I think that's a huge a huge audience.
Of
It's
course.
got other channels as well.
Yeah.
I do find it particularly amusing when Man United are not doing well, they're getting hammered. You quickly flick YouTube on, you go to see Mark's reaction
the only
to it.
problem with that though is that I've seen clips of it. Is like, is it real?
Yeah, or is
it
put on?
play? Is it an act?
Yeah.
Is he that bothered about Man United? Because I'm sure he's born in Nottingham. Should be a Forest fan.
That's the
Do
criticism.
you know what I mean?
He actually is a Forest fan, but he...
Have you chosen Man United as the biggest club, and are you pretending in your clips? Is it real? Do you know what I mean? That's why some of the watch-alongs, like, it's like, is it real? Is it really that? Like, he's saying crazy stuff like, oh, get out of my club, that's it. Oh, I had enough, and he's pushing stuff away, and it's like, is it real? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you can see real and sometimes a bit of acting.
Do you think that might be what he's doing when he's using your name and saying, oh, Gabby's just said this is a load of nonsense?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But, like, I think when people have spoken to Mark about it, he's just like, he's not a very confrontational guy.
Okay, yeah.
So it's easy to do on a YouTube channel, isn't it, and stuff.
When there's no one coming back.
Yeah,
actually.
because I remember we had a TalkSport 6-a-side, and last year I didn't play in it, but Alan Brazil wouldn't play him.
Right.
And he got his stuff, got changed and left.
Really?
Like that was a Premier League footballer. You'd be like, wow, 2-week fight. So he wasn't being played. So he had the huff, went and got his stuff and got changed and left. And I brought it up the other week after the recent one. He's like, yeah, mentality. If I'm not playing, I've got to leave. But to be fair though, like they know what they're doing, and when you've got a big following like Manchester United, but I feel like maybe if they tweaked it a little bit, they could end up getting ex-players on there, and that would help them if they're a bit less hammering the club and stuff. But yeah, no problem with them at all.
Another pundit I wanted to ask you about, who's doing amazing things now in football media, is Micah Richards, who you know really well. What do you think of his rise within the media space? Because it's been quite incredible.
I think the big thing for me is he's himself. That's the big thing. You see some people do the media and they're a different person, they're media trained. He's himself, always been that lovable, funny personality, charisma, everything he's got, likeable guy, he's got that laugh.
Yeah.
But forget about all that. He knows his stuff. Played for England multiple times, Man City, had an outstanding career, cut short with injury. But like, this guy was playing in the Premier League when I was still cleaning boots. Do you know what I mean? In the under-18s, he made his debut so early. And he's just himself. There's a reason why CBS love him.
Yeah.
Because he's that character.
So full of personality.
Yeah, and you watch him on Sky and you love him with Roy Keane.
Yeah.
And you see him and you're like, there's more to come out of him. And then you see it on CBS because it's American.
Yeah.
They're more laid back with their TV. But even on the match of the day, he's got that charisma, dresses well, hair on point. Just a likeable guy as well. If you met him in person, you'd be like, I like this guy. Genuine. Another one like Jack would do anything for anyone. There's a reason why all these companies love him. And he loves the odd advert as well. I've seen him on.
Yes, I'm sure he's doing very well.
Yes.
I imagine he likes a party as well.
I think he did like a party back in the day. So always see him in Manchester in my Manchester years. The old Panacea and Circle. Micah, he had them T-shirts with his chest hanging out. Them T-shirts that started here. The big
all
chest. Hanging out. When he come out, he loved that one. But I think he's another one that like slowed down the older he got. Because we used to go out so much when we were like 17, 18, 19, 20. Not 17, it's legal. 18, 19, 20, 21. But, you know what I mean? You go past that stage where you're like, too old now for a club. Like me at 31, couldn't think of anything worse going to a club. Do you know what I mean? Like now I'm like, not a prayer, a 15-year-old son.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He might be in the club in a few years. And I'm like, you all right, son? Do you know what I mean? Not a chance.
No one needs that.
Yeah, not a chance now. Just got to go to a nice bar. But Mike has done outstanding, and he'll be around for a long, long time.
Yeah. I wanted to end with a bit of a quick fire round.
Yep.
What's your most controversial football opinion? What first comes to mind?
Controversial football opinion. Oh. That's a tough one, that is.
Yeah. Something maybe you think that most people don't agree with.
Oh, most people don't agree with. I would say you're only a big club if you won the European Cup.
So Arsenal got a big
Champions
club.
League. Yeah, won the Champions League. How can you call yourself a big club?
Okay.
Manchester United have, Liverpool have, Chelsea have, Villa have, Man City have. How can you call yourself a big club if you haven't won it?
Okay, I like it. Best player you ever played with?
Country. So top players of the country: Beckham, Gerrard, Rooney. But I'm gonna go club. Gareth Barry. Okay. Never give the ball away. Always play the right pass. Always look forward. Score a goal. Mr. Consistent Premier League record. I think he's got still, has he? Is it next to Ryan Giggs?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Mr. Reliable. Clubs loved him. Devastated when he left Villa. Went on to Man City, Everton, West Brom. Just an outstanding player. Luckily, I get to play with him still on a Monday night. We play six-a-side.
Wow.
Petrov and Gareth Barry, we play together.
Is that just in a regular league?
No, it's not even a league. It's like we got
just a bunch of you get together.
Yeah, a bunch of us go. So we got a group chat, and there's a couple of the lads who know a few of the lads in the area. They get a team together, and we've got me, Stan, and GB, Gareth Barry, with a few of the lads that we know. We get together, but these lads are 25 in their prime, running rings around us, but we beat them because we've got that quality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're fitter, but because we've got that quality, that ex-player quality, we score the right goals, the right movements, but we're on the floor, asthma attacks afterwards. They're just ready to play again. So Gareth Barry.
Fab. Best player you ever played against?
I'll have to go with Rio Ferdinand or Vincent Kompany. Both animals. Vincent Kompany. Wow, I still have nightmares of going for a header. Okay. The goalkeeper will kick it and it's coming chat, and all you hear is like, "Rah!" Honestly, like some angry guy jumping, elbow in the back of your spine, head the back of your head, doesn't feel pain. That sort of centre half, vicious, quick, good on the ball, had it all. Vincent Kompany. So I'm gonna go with Kompany because he was the dirtiest as well.
Okay. Had that edge.
Yeah, like he would take you out if he had to. He'd put you on that stretcher if he needed to. He didn't care.
Most underrated player currently playing?
Underrated, I would say I'm gonna go with a Villa player. Underrated Konsa for Aston Villa. He can play right back, centre back. He's fielding for Matty Cash so much this season. He's quick, very good on the ball, strong, aggressive. And I feel that it's took Southgate a while to finally give him his first England cap, which he has. But he's one that will go to Euros, and wouldn't surprise me if he broke into that starting team.
Okay. And have you got any left field football predictions for us? Either it could be about a particular club or who's going to win a league or anything like that.
I'm not the smartest with left and right. What do you mean by
something that other people would be surprised to hear?
What about a football team or
a player, a team, something you think might happen in the future that other people don't seem to think is
okay.
likely
So
to happen?
let's go with. I'm going to go with Mainu, Manchester United. Will be starting for England after the first game in the Euros.
Okay.
And future Man United captain also. Okay. Yeah. Man United fan from young, pictures of him. The talent he's got. He's got bad examples around him at the moment, so he's not playing at his best. You got Casemiro, who's I'm quicker than, and I can't run now. But Mainu, he's the future.
Okay.
I like him a lot.
Speaking of the Euros, not far away. Are England going to win?
I hope so. But when there's Mbappe, it's frightening. Like we've got very good players, but this guy, like when we played them in the semi-final, I'm petrified watching.
Yeah.
Even though we got Kyle Walker, I'm like, this guy, there's no one like him. And France have got so much Griezmann, Dembele. Look at the back, Saliba.
Great defence, yeah.
Saliba can't even get a game. Umpancano, Kanate. I'm missing some out. Kimpembe, like they've got so much in there. But I do think it's our time. I really do. I feel like Bellingham's rise, Foden's rise, Cole Palmer's rise. Please. But you know what I think we're missing? We're missing a real Ferdinand.
Okay, yeah.
We're missing a rapid top centre half. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel left back when Chilwell and Shaw are fit, they're very good. Walker, Reece James. But that centre back where you can, like, you know, you can play high line because you got that speed. Maguire I do like, Stones I do like, but I feel like that top end against a top team, that might let us down.
What do you think of Southgate?
I don't mind him, to be honest, but the thing with me when I look at this England group of players, I say to anyone I see, I say, me and you could do well with this squad of players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's not disrespectful. It's about, you've got like superstars. Do you know what I mean? If I was to say to you, what's your team? You might say, boom, 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 boom. That team's going to go out and it's not a manager like Southgate's not going to be filling them with like, passion and this and that. They're going to go out and be like, I want to do this for England. I love my country. I want to go out and perform. So I feel like that group of players, we need to win trophies. So Southgate's done well, but he's been helped by the crop of talent. I mean, I played in top England sides and trained with them. But this group of players, I mean, you've got Saka, Palmer, you've got Bowen, all fighting for that right-hand side. You've got Grealish, Rashford, Gordon. You've got Bellingham, Foden, Maddison. You've got Watkins, Tony, Kane, Dominic Solanke's done well. Do you know what I mean? So like, I'm probably missing out players, like, but that talent, if we just went for it, Declan Rice, you're sitting on your own, don't move. Bellingham and Foden in front, Grealish on the left, Saka on the right, Kane. We put teams to the sword. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are all quality players. Saka, you're not performing. Palmer, on you go. Do you know what I mean? Jack, Gordon's there as well to help. Rashford's there for the speed. Watkins is there, been clinical this season. 19 Premier League goals, no penalties. Do you know what I mean? Like, all these players, and you're like, we don't want to be looking in 10 years, and we're the ones like our parents were that were like, don't know how that team didn't win.
Yeah.
Don't know how that era didn't win.
It is
we'll be
another
like
golden
that with
generation.
our kids. We'll be like, yeah, you know, we had Foden. You know, we were saying Southgate should do this, but he didn't. You know, he played Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Declan Rice as the midfield three. Do you know what I mean? We'll be saying that in 10 years, and I don't want to. We should be like gloating. World Cups, European Championships, we should be gloating. Like, I mean, you don't look at Brazil done well against us recently in a friendly, but I'm not saying that we should be scared of Brazil in a knockout game. Not a prayer. But if he doesn't do it, who do we give the job to? Because they talk about wanting to be an English manager. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I agree should be the best person at the job.
No matter where they're
No
from.
matter where you're from, no matter. You know what I mean? I know it didn't work with foreign managers before, but the right man was out there. You tell me Pep Guardiola was available, we'd say no. Sorry,
Yeah.
Pep. Have you got any English in you? No. Sorry, mate. But I can win.
I'm sure we can find some.
No. We need someone who's called Steve. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? So I think if Pep's out there, he might get bored of winning every trophy in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He might be bored of 5 league titles in a couple of years. So if Pep was out there, imagine that with that crop of players.
It'd be very exciting. I wanted to also quickly ask you about a former England manager, Fabio Capello, who obviously was manager in and around when you were in and around the squad. What do you think of him? What are your thoughts of him at this point?
I got a funny story about Capello. I turned up to the Grove Hotel, my first England squad, and as a player, day after a game, 2 days after a game, you want to like relax your feet all over the place from a game. Turned up for breakfast in the morning, walked in with my flip-flops, no socks. Looked at me, says, Agbonlahor, up. I'm going, what? What's going on? He's gone, up. Socks, trainers, up. All the lads laughing at me. I was like, what have I been called up? What have I been called into? This isn't what I thought. Upstairs, socks, trainers on, come down, he's gone, good. Enjoy breakfast. I was like, he hated people, but it was normal to like your feet need to get
it makes
air.
sense. Yeah.
You want to get air to your feet. You've got blisters, you've got cuts, you've got, you know what I mean, toenails hanging off, black toenails, and I was like, hell. Then it was like no ketchup. There was no ketchup allowed. It was dinner time. I remember like some lasagna, whatever it was, or a bit of chicken, and I'm a ketchup lover. Always have been since young. Have some ketchup, please. They've gone, no. The waitress was like, no. I I've gone, okay, then can I have some butter for the bread? No butter. No. I was like, where the hell am I? Why not this at 21? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what was funny, like, another couple of trips, got a message to one of the senior players, come to room, blah, blah, blah. Got to the room, I've never seen so much McDonald's. There was like 20 hamburgers, 20 cheeseburgers, chicken royales, ketchup galore, fizzy pop, everything. Security there. And there were like these like FBI sort of security guards with the mics and that. So one of the players must have got into them and got everyone McDonald's. There was at least half the players in there munching away, senior players as well. English players back then.
That's
like,
brilliant. Yeah.
9 days of like plain chicken and plain pasta, and you're like, McDonald's. So I'm sorry, Fabio, if you're watching, but
I love that.
We went against you.
Yeah. Is it true that he kicked you out of an England squad, so you took a last-minute trip to Miami, I believe, and ended up getting fined on the way home because your flight was delayed?
No. Because when I didn't get up for that squad, into that squad, I was going back to Villa. The Miami one where I was late I wasn't in England set up then. That was
those are two separate things.
Yeah, that was 2014. Was it 2013? I think 14 under Paul Lambert. So every international break, you get 3-4 days off.
Yeah.
Do you know the players go and do what you want to do? Lambert was like, tell us last minute so you couldn't book stuff. So anyway, like, I was really obsessed with Miami then. I'd done the Vegas about 20 times. I was like, Miami, beach. So I found flights. Me and a new player who had joined from League 2, actually. So he's come from League 2, Premier League. Like, took him under my wing anyway. We flew to Miami, British Airways, at the best time. Got to Miami Airport on the way back. Your flight's delayed. I was like, no. What? No. What do you mean delayed? But because it was such a short amount of time off, the flight was meant to land at 6 a.m. at Heathrow. I had training at 10.
Right.
But I could time it. Do you know what I mean? It would work. It's not a problem. Land at 6. In the car at 7:15.
I dropped in the hours.
Hour and 30 from Heathrow. I've got plenty of time. I've got 2 hours spare. So I'm thinking, this is not a problem. Like, you wouldn't do much on the first day anyway. Anyway, flight delayed 4 hours. So we're both sitting there and he's shitting himself. I'm not that bothered. Do you know what I mean? I'm a senior player. I know that, like, I'll be all right. And he's like, what should I say? Like, what excuse should I say? Should I say this? Should I say that? I'm like, no, don't make no ridiculous lies. Like, your bloody, do you know what I mean? Grandparents are like, on death row. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then we land and message the club and say, going to be late, blah, blah, blah. We got there and 12 p.m. it was. They'd finished training, walking in. And like, I'm just like, Paul Lambert was laughing. He's gone, it's going to cost you. And he fined me lumps. He fined me 10,000 cash and 10,000 at my wages.
Really?
Yeah. But it wasn't a problem. I trained the next day. It was fine. He wasn't angry. He was laughing.
Like, this is the
it
consequence.
Was like, yeah, it's going to cost you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that money can be given back to the players for nights out or dinners and a bit to charity. But it was like the other player, I was finding it funny because he was so nervous. Come from League 2 to the Premier League. What are you doing in Miami? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Should we train extra? You weren't a starter. But we got to the Heathrow. You just know when you're late.
Yeah. And
there's no point rushing. You're not making it. I think we landed at like 9:30 when training was like meant to be in. But yeah, that was crazy times. Crazy times. There was once as well we went to I went to basically European Championships the summer, so I didn't have much time off. And I asked Martin O'Neill if I could have some extra time off. The first international break, it was in end of August. He's gone, yes, have a week off. So I went to Vegas. So there's
recurring theme.
Yeah, so like I was obsessed with Vegas, so I didn't get to go in the summer. It gave me a week off, so I flew to Vegas for 5 days. And because I was young, when I got back, I was fine.
Yeah.
I was playing well, I was fine. Do you know what I mean? It didn't affect me, but if I'd done that 10 years later, like, you'd gone and you had a jet lag.
Yeah.
But the players couldn't believe it. They were like, I was 21, I'm in Vegas, like in international break. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's more relaxed now as well with like the top teams. When they're giving time off, I don't think the manager cares.
Yeah, you hear a lot of players
Sancho
go,
in New York at a fashion show, like, if you got the time off, do what you want. Just make sure this day you're back in, you're training properly. Yeah. But it was crazy back then.
Goes wrong if Rashford is making it up and away when he's not supposed to be.
And you're staying there, you're late back or whatever. Yeah. You're forcing a trip for one day off to a different country. But if you're given time off, like they're normally quite relaxed. And the players now as well, these top players, they don't get British Airways.
Yeah.
They're on their own private jets and they're going wherever. Do you know what I mean? Where no one's talking, no one's going to get a picture of you. Do you know what I mean? They're getting private jets to Caribbean for 3 days. Different world now.
Fab. Well, Gabby, thank you very much for coming and speaking to me.
Problem.
Really appreciate the time. This has been a great conversation. I'm sure people are going to love it. And thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
I really enjoyed this conversation with Gabby. I think it's crazy how he was able to have that much success whilst partying all the time. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed that conversation, I think you're going to love my interview with Danny Murphy. In it, he goes into his addiction to cocaine and many other things. You can check it out right here.